Thank you for taking the time to join me, Mayor Colin Ratushniak of the community of La Ronge. Really appreciative of your time today. Thank you. How are you?
I'm great. How are you? Thanks for having me, Brandon. I really appreciate this. And I really appreciate you doing this in a different medium than phone calls or radio. I know it takes a lot of, of time and effort. So good for you for doing that.
No problem. I know you know because you're very active online, which we all appreciate, and through the campaign and everything, you have a lot of competence in this. So thank you. I know you know, and it's good, in pandemic to see and to hear and to feel the emotion that can't always be conveyed in text.
For sure.
Anyways, I've got a little bit of your time today, and I want to talk about some new developments and a little bit of the town business. So we've got a new chief administrative officer after a long time coming in, Mr. Stephen Brown, who is scheduled to start later this month on the 22nd. Can you, I see his CV includes some management positions in finance and administration for Humboldt, Prince Albert, North Battleford. So this individual has a lot of good experience, and we're all looking forward to having this new face in the community. Can you tell us anything else that I might have missed about this guy, this man?
It definitely was a very long process. I think that the town was not in a position in the past to really bring in a really suitable pool of candidates. And I really have to, thank HMC for coming in and sorting out different structures and finances so that whenever the CAO did come on board, that they were going to be there to be successful, rather than trying to, push themselves through the trenches. So, we feel extremely confident and we're extremely excited to have Stephen Brown come on board. As you talked about with his CV, he's got a lot of experience, municipally, in his finance background. So I think he's going to be a huge asset to the town, and not only just from the CEO perspective, but also he really genuinely wants to be integrated into the community and really be involved in extracurricular activities, which I think is important, right? Because you don't want just someone who's just going to come here for the money and do a job, right? You want someone who's really going to be community focused, because I think at the end of the day, what happens is you end up really being vested in what you're doing as far as work wise goes, and in the end, I think it'll play out better for the success of our community and the success of our council, and all of our employees that work with us as well.
Hmm. Really quickly, we don't know him yet, but is he a family man? Do you know if he's bringing some a whole family into the community or just himself as a bachelor?
Those are certainly questions that I tried to go towards, but those are questions that are very personal, and
Yeah.
I believe that he has some family, and I think he also has I think some distant relatives that live in La Ronge as well,
Nice.
which is good. I don't know for sure if he's moving up, if he's his kids or family. I can't I, I tried, trust me, I tried, because I think that things like those questions are really important. But I think as you can appreciate, when you're doing an interview process like that, like those are questions that are just really, you're not really allowed to ask.
Mhm.
But I do know, that he is very excited to come up here, and he is already, searching for places to live, which I think was a big, I mean, that was one of the biggest misperceptions about the acting CEO and the recruiters who were involved in this, right? Is there was this really bad perception, that they didn't live in the community, and they don't see the day to day. But at the same time, and I will admit, I'll be the first to admit, I was on that train too, of why is this? It looks very weird. It's very strange. But at the same time, they really knew what they were doing, but moving forward, it's sort of, it will hopefully sort of squash those misconceptions,
Mhm.
and they'll finally see someone who's really involved in the community now, hopefully.
Mhm. No, no, agreed. And I guess we'll find out more about Stephen when he gets here later this month. Since you invoked HMC Management, I do want to say, yeah, it's important to recognize that Dean and the larger management company does bring 40 years, 4 decades of experience in this kind of thing. So we're incredibly indebted to them and their service. Since we've talked about HMC, do you know any details? I know this was started before you came on, but about how that contract will look going forward, because I know from previous press that they were pulled in to do a laundry list of things, not only finding a new CAO, but now that they have found one, and I'm wondering if will our relationship with HMC go past this new CAO, or do you have any details about how that works, that relationship?
Yeah, I do for sure. So as of February 11th, HMC will, and Dean, personally will take a step back. He'll no longer be our acting CAO. So in the interim, because there is about a 10-day gap there, our chief administrative officer, Miss Pat Peacock, will be our acting CAO in that 10-day period. And then once Stephen Brown does start on the 22nd, that he doesn't have a full C certificate, which is some jargon that is a requirement for a CAO position within the province of Saskatchewan. So what that means is, to fulfill those requirements, they have to be mentored for a year. So Dean, as part of HMC management and sort of for the success of the contract and the recruiting process, has agreed to come on as that mentor. So he will still be involved, for that year process, and it will go from sort of like that 100% down to, hopefully it will go down to 0, where he doesn't really have much say, and not that he has much say, it's just him mentoring Stephen so that Stephen feels 100%
Yeah,
comfortable with the day to day. Yeah, so it'll
passing of
be
the
it'll be
baton.
a slow process of moving out of where he sort of what his role will be as HMC management.
Okay, okay. Thank you for that detail.
No
Um,
problem.
I guess one thing that, looking back at what HMC was tasked with doing, was taking a look at some town operations policies and trying to create, I'm going to not get this quote exactly right, but a, a, a harmonious environment for the administration and for council actually to work in. So I guess carrying with that sentiment, we have a new code of conduct bylaw, which is another thing we can talk about, which will create this good atmosphere. Bylaw 641-20 for all you people out there keeping track of our bylaws. This was a campaign promise of Jordan McPhail, so I'm just wondering if we can bring that into the conversation and talk about this new great bylaw that will prevent, in my understanding, personal bias coming in, or any personal beliefs, and just should help to create this culture that HMC was tasked to help make. And I'm wondering if I can get your comments on this new bylaw and how it'll help create this culture.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, Deputy Mayor Jordan McPhail was instrumental in getting this bylaw to the table, and I appreciate and thank him for all the work that he did on that, because it's absolutely necessary, especially with some of the and I don't know if these are allegations, but these are some of the things that were coming out of the previous council, that some people were not being held accountable to, just different codes of conduct, code of conduct, and it's, at least what it does is it lays out a platform so that people can be held accountable if they follow the line. It takes a little bit of the guesswork out of what you can and cannot do, because I think what people have to really remember is that a majority of us don't have a political background, right? When you're coming into this, right? We have separate lives outside of our council duties, and not a lot of people understand the decorum or the policy and procedure that goes into the day in and day out of doing policy and being on council, and being in politics, right? So I think it's just a really good way to start off a 4-year council position, so that everyone is just on a level playing field, so that everyone has to play the same game, and so that everyone can be held accountable in those cases where someone does step out of line. Because you know what, we're all, at the end of the day, we are human. We are all bound to make mistakes, and I'll be the first one to admit it. But at least there is due process in that case that happens. There still are a few things that we do have to get in place, right? Like, we have to get that specific person who will come in, who will investigate when different breaches of those of the conduct, the code of conduct sort of come into place. So there are still a couple things that still need to be laid out and fine tuned, but we're definitely going in the right direction with just laying out exactly what needs to be done in those chambers. And what's also really nice too is I think that the fact that we do live streaming now too, I think that also keeps a level of accountability too, so that that a lot of the times, even though those meetings have always been public, not a lot of times people have had access or time to be able to go to those meetings. So the fact that it's live and then it lives on YouTube for for however long it's going to live on YouTube, right? Like it's a really good opportunity for that transparency that a lot of us who ran for council this time around really wanted to push for. And this code of conduct, this code of conduct just brings another level to it, which is really, really great.
Nice. Speaking of transparency and just getting the information out there, I did pick up on one thing you said on the most recent town council meeting on the 26th of this past month, where when we were discussing, and I guess all of this comes because I'm able to engage via that online streaming. So thank you guys for doing that. It's a great tool in pandemic. And during the last stream, I saw you in the RCMP report, you had mentioned, hey, this is a great opportunity. We need to reevaluate or look at our relationship with the RCMP. Maybe there's opportunity for more people to engage with these reports or with the RCMP to create a rapport or something like that. Any thoughts while I have you on the RCMP relationship and those reports and stuff like that?
The difficult thing with the RCMP report that we received in the last meeting is that there wasn't a representative there to answer any of our questions. So that was a difficult thing. And I know in the past, that they have sent a representative to sort of give us an update. I mean, I've been lucky enough that I have some relationships with some of the and forgive me because I don't know what their exact titles are, but
okay.
Some of the uppers in the RCMP locally, which has been really nice just to get an understanding, right? And really, a lot of the times we just see them as people who are doing enforcement and are out on the streets and all that stuff. So there's a very detailed ladder to how a lot of this stuff works. I know that for me, even with our contract that we have with our 3 extra police officers that we have specifically for the town of La Ronge, I wanted some clarity as to what they do, and I think again, like COVID has created some barriers for that, right? Like some of that outreach is supposed to be going to the schools to speak to youth, and again, sort of building the rapport with the police. And sort of, I mean, there's no secret that there's still a lot of things within our community that we need to work on. And for me, what I want to try to do is I would really like the community to even like community members to also be able to ask questions to the RCMP through town hall or different forums. But even from town halls that have happened in the past, I've rolled into, typically they're at the JRMCC and the parking lot is empty. And if you kind of go, okay, well, if that's not a suitable medium that's working, I'm like, I think we can do different things, especially, as you talk about, right? Like online presence and media can be very, very powerful, right? And we do have a lot of people that are engaged on social media. So maybe we just need to figure out a different forum so that we can, again, and that's where that relationship and rapport with, the RCMP community members, council, it becomes sort of like a synergy of working together and understanding each other, and sort of also laying out the expectations of what people want to see more of, or different issues and stuff that arise throughout the year with different issues.
Thank you. That's super interesting. I think people, like things like Crime Stoppers and stuff, all of that's kind of fallen away in the pandemic. So I think your competency for engagement is just shining through a lot of different things. And I agree. I think people would be very interested to have a more engagement with the RCMP. I know from working within press, our stories about anything that touches crime usually gets a lot of engagement because people care about their safety, right? So again, I think you're on the nose there. Coming up to 20 minutes, I don't want to take too much of your time. I just want to close out with how are things going in your new role? Anything that you want to celebrate or are struggling with? I did note There was some recent press around EOC meetings and SHA numbers, and I had that recent interview with Dr. Kaketla. So just open field for you to close. How are things?
Yeah, no, actually, I saw that the interview with Dr. Coquetla, and I think that really brought some clarity for the residents. I thought that it was really, really well done,
Thank you.
because those are the I mean, there's not too often that you see Dr. Coquetla in that sort of medium, to be able to explain sort of just how busy they are, and sort of the challenges and everything that's so associated with that. So that's great. Other than sort of my role and how I'm sort of fitting in 3 months in, I guess you can kind of say. I'm really pleased with the council that's in place. I think that we're really, really working well together. I think that the relationship that we've built with the other community leaders, with Chief Tammy and with Mayor Baschuk, like it's been honestly phenomenal. And all it's really taken is just the open lines of communication. It's that continued building up, and working together, and really working for the good, and not and nothing more than that, right? It's pretty simple, right? As long as you kind of treat people with that dignity and respect, and you involve them in conversations, like you're typically going to have success with that. So as we sort of move forward now into the year, and we have the Municipal of Saskatchewan's convention that's coming up. We have budgetary meetings that are starting to roll in next. So there's a lot of things that again are going to be new for me, and a lot of the newer council members. But I think like we're all very excited for what that's going to bring. And there's a lot of new sort of webinars and places where we're doing some extra training too, which I think will bring more experience and light to what our jobs do. So no, everything is going really, really well, and I'm really proud of where we're at so far.
Nice. Well, everyone's been viewing and watching the new council with a lot of interest, and it's good to see some new life injected into old relationships. So thanks for doing what you do, and thanks for carving out time today, and we'll keep watching.
And thank you for what you do as well. Have a great day. Okay.